When it comes to the games I play, I found that I have a disturbingly diverse palette. My game rotations most of the time look like Kirby Air Riders, Minecraft, and then Call of Duty Black Ops. You see what I'm saying here? I don't typically like to stay in one place with the games I play. I don't like to just stick with one company or one type of game as the ones that I primarily play. But there is one type of game that just infatuates me. I can't quite put my finger on it. It doesn't even have to fit into a single genre, but it's this kind of post-ultra-violent explosion YouTube poop low-res massacre that I just can't get enough of. The last time I felt a game really embody this kind of vibe was Anton Blast, with its sharp art style, insane demolition, crude humor, and edgy writing. So it should come to no surprise that ever since it was announced, I've been following a little Doom-like known as... It's been 30 seconds? Okay, cool. Captain fucking Wayne! This is the kind of game that just calls to me, man. I don't know how to form it into a short enough label to explain what's appealing about it. Just look at these two next to each other and you'll get it. Maybe I should title the genre games he plays an insane, seemingly invincible drunken man with a black beard whose soundtrack has music by Tony Garrison and has a red guy voiced by Gianni Matrigano. But I know what you're here for and I won't waste any more time. What's this Captain Wayne all about? Captain Wayne is a pirate who regularly plunders and pillages the different people out on the 7.5 seas. And one of these heights is what the whole story is built around. After he steals this one crown, he accidentally gets on the bad side of this guy aptly named King, who takes his boat and scuffles off. Not only that, he's after this rare Orca stone Captain Wayne already had his eyes set on. Your job is to chase his ass down and take back what's yours. You see, the Captain's got a bit of a unique mechanic that separates him from most Doom-likes, and that's that he is the gun. His left arm from the elbow down is all gun. Shotgun shells fire from his palms, he's got machine gun fingertips. Mechanically, this does actually separate it quite a bit from other boomer shooters. Instead of needing to pick up a gun of a specific type as well as the ammo, all you need is the ammo since the gun is built in. It's not that different than just having the gun next to the ammo, but I still think it's cool. Outside of that, it does follow a lot of traditional Doom rules, however. Multiple weapons detached from the gun arm that increase in power the farther you go in, a focus on ammo preservation and resource management fighting against all mechanically different enemies, 3 keys that can be found in each level that are usually required to get to the exit, secret rooms that usually contain some kind of power-up or goodie. Looking at it from the overview, it does seem pretty traditional to the formula, but all of the mechanics in between is where it really makes it its own. For starters, you have a melee and a kick that can be activated at all times. The kick is not only used for pushing enemies away from you, but also as a long-ranged air dash. And putting this in conjunction with the melee, you can just soar across these maps. There's 3 different types of punches Wayne can dish out. Just the basic one from tapping the left mouse trigger, holding it for a bit longer gives you an uppercut, and charging it to completion gives you this giant electric explosion, instantly annihilating most smaller enemies. But you can't just throw this out willy-nilly. You have about a 2-second window to fire off the big punch before you lose the charge and have to start all over. So there's a bit of strategy here when it comes to when and where you should start charging. On top of that, there's the rest of the weapons. As I've said, this is a Doom-like, and with that comes ammo management. And it's about as brutal as it is in the first Doom, I've gotta say. Something that I really think supports you getting squeezed for ammo is the switching delay. Switching between guns has about a 1-second delay to it, so if you're using the machine gun then realize the shotgun would actually be better for your current situation, you're gonna have to take a second to switch between them. And because of how fast-paced this game moves, that 1 second it takes a swap can feel like an eternity. But I think it's a good thing. I like how this affects the overall gameplay. If you open a door and you're holding the machine gun, something better for mid-range, and there's 2 people standing right in front of you, you could use a second of your time before they start firing to switch to the shotgun, or you could try to save your health and just blow the machine gun ammo at them. Or if you're holding any form of explosive weapon in this scenario, you're pretty much going to need to switch or else it'll blow yourself up too. So you can either try to kick them to get them away in time, or immediately turn around and book it while you're switching. The restrictions the game puts on your weapons makes way for great on-the-fly thinking. Not only that, it kinda reminds me of Halo with how the enemies are handled, while at the same time being very indicative of Doom. You have rifle guys, shotgun guys, rocket launcher guys, little ball freaks that hover in the air and shoot range projectiles. Most of the typical foot soldiers you'll be coming across aren't anything really mold breaking, unless we want to count the shotgun guys moving at the speed of a Smiling Friends character. But the unique enemies it comes up with that are Wayne exclusive are so damn cool, and for most of them apply yet another layer of strategy to how they have to be tackled. The bruisers are melee based enemies that have a high number of health and can shield from damage, being able to eat up most of your machine gun ammo if you just want to blast the shit out of them without trying. But if you're able to approach them and kick them down, it'll knock them on the floor, temporarily letting you wallop on them. That is is if they're in a spot where you're able to land a kick. Zombie crabs are literally just the volatile dweevils from Pikmin 2. They have bombs on them and run straight at you and detonate if they get close enough. You could just run away and then blast them once you get far enough, or you could lead them towards a crowd of other enemies and then pull the trigger. But leaving them alive for that long, of course, has the risk of you messing up and then blowing you up too. And I think my favorite enemy in the game, if not one of my favorite enemy designs I've seen in a shooter, has got to be the Lagoon. Whenever this monster gets placed into a room, it is immediately enemy number 1. It has a high amount of health, can deal a lot of melee damage, and fucking kills you in one hit. If you get far enough away from it, or it spawns on the other side of a room, it'll start this little ritual thing, causing a blinking eye to come up on your screen. And if that eye blinks 3 times, it'll drop your health down to just 1. All of the health you did have isn't gone, however. It'll start to slowly build back up to where it was, but this is hugely crippling for most combat rooms. If it can pull this off and you're fighting a bunch of other enemies, you're probably going to die. Whenever this bastard spawns, it immediately demands your attention because if left unchecked, this stupid piece of shit can end you just like that. There's so many cool and creative enemies here, and the different weapons complement that. I've mentioned the shotgun, machine gun, and just beating people to death, but there's also Molotovs, batteries that shoot electricity and electrify people, a whole ass cannon that shoots cannonballs, a coin that summons Thunder Dave to nuke all currently alive enemies. To elaborate on that Halo comparison from before, one of the main strategy elements of Combat Evolved is the different weapons and when to use them. If you're fighting a hunter, a spanker might be useful to blow it up in a few shots, but if you're able to get behind it and use your magnum, it can take it out in 1. You can one-shot anything if you hit it in the head with a sniper, but you're damned if you think I'm using that on a grunt. This kind of strategy with the weapons and enemies is one of the main reasons I love Combat Evolved, and is also one of the reasons I love Captain Wayne. See a bunch of enemies in a big line? Use the cannon to mow all of them down like bowling pins. These rare pickup fire guns can only instant kill grunt enemies, so you want to make sure you only use your limited ammo in these things against them. Molotovs are great against hordes, but can also instant kill most flying enemies if you're able to throw it right. Said Molotovs also explode on contact, but if you miss, they'll go off a little while after. So you have to keep track of where all of your missed Molotovs are lying, lest you accidentally blow yourself up with them. You only really get 1 Thunder Dave coin per level, so no matter where you are, you always have the thought in the back of your head of, is this room really bad enough to use it now? And not only that, most of the weapons have an alt fire with the right mouse button. You can fire both your shotgun shells at once. You can have a more precise and slower machine gun. You can underhand the Molotov, throwing it downwards to maybe catch enemies running directly at you. You can use the Cell Shocker as the spread of projectiles, or an individual bolt conserving more ammo. And all of this isn't even to mention the environment around you. There are explosive barrels you can pick up and throw, coconuts that can give you some health back and also used as a projectile, watermelons that can heal you and then give you a machine gun like bullet attack where he spits out all the seeds. More than anything, this game just encourages screwing around and seeing what works. Now of course there are some enemies and mini bosses where the only real strategy is just lay into them until they stop moving, but I would say for a solid 80% of the encounters, there's no one good way to go about them. The amount of on-the-fly thinking between the weapons and the swapping and the enemies and the environment is so well done here. The gameplay is great. For me. Yeah, all the boomer shootery aspects of it aren't the only thing that link this back to the original Doom. This game can be brutal as shit. Now it does let you save wherever and whenever on the fly and load these save points when you die, so if you're struggling, you're free to abuse this, but these autosaves are extremely sparse. One of the last levels of the game, the King's Court, is probably the worst it gets, thankfully. You need to go down one of these 3 different pathways to activate 3 different sets of stairs to get to the top. And they only really put checkpoints at the start of each section, so if you die near the end, you have to go back through all of it again. Even if you are abusing saves, if you forget at any point and then die, it can be pretty demoralizing. Luckily, I'm somebody who likes this sort of difficulty, so it was no problem for me, but I would appreciate in the future this game having an easy mode or really just better checkpoints. Honestly though, that's like the only complaint I've got outside of this indie game came out yesterday, hiccups. Hey, check this out. If you eat a burger during this cutscene, all of the audio stops and you're forced to sit here for like 20 seconds. I can already see these sorts of issues getting fixed like a week from this video coming out, so I wouldn't worry about them. Speaking of the levels though, this game has 8 of them, and I think each of them is great. I like what each of them has to bring to the table. None of them really feels like any of the others. Ballina Beach almost feels like it has the level design of Hotel Delfino, with you having to break into people's rooms and crawl through the vents. Sanctuary of the Ancients being confusing as shit with all of the different gimmicks it throws in out of nowhere. Looping areas, wall textures that obscure pathways, randomly being underwater for some reason. The previously mentioned King's Court not only being the longest level of the game, but by far the hardest with branching pathways. And probably my favorite, under Ballina Beach, the Hydrogen Humpback. Just this massive gauntlet going through nearly every enemy of the game with an 8-minute time limit to get to the end. I think it has very strong stage variety personally. Yeah, sure, some of them don't really stand out too much, like I'm pretty sure I've already forgotten what Blubco Industries looks like, but they're all varied enough to mix up gameplay pretty distinctly. I already love Captain Wayne based off everything I've already said, but I think my favorite part is by far this game's style and personality. It is so good. This game feels like it was made specifically for people who still find YouTube poop funny. And if you're somebody like me who does, this game is for you. Like, look at these animations. Your internet is fine, by the way. That's just how all of them look. All of these cutscenes have the aspect ratio and compression like they were uploaded to YouTube 16 years ago. They are beautifully shit looking. They're so authentic to the Captain Wayne Vacation Desperation, all cutscenes, no commentary aesthetic they were going for. They even made sure that when there's a lot of colors going on in the shot or there was a lot of movement, that the artifacting would go insane. It's garbage looking. I love it. On top of that, the writing here is despicable.
Well, this is just great.
How the fuck are you alive?
I think you've got your point, Captain. Although, maybe your incentive string a tad dingier than mine.
What do you mean?
This game is just insanely charming and funny, I can't lie to you. At set points through levels or just randomly based on different actions, Wayne will have different quips and corny ass lines he'll throw out. How he lights the boom brews by making a little fire on the end of his middle finger, then throwing it. There are these enemies that throw bricks at you that I swear to God are based on that stupid ass gif of a cat throwing a brick. There's this one boss called Dinky F. Sheldon who they hype up so hard before his boss, but then when it starts he just goes flying off in one hit. The sound effect they choose for when you enter that exit a tube is literally the fucking Hotel Mario pipe sound effect. I'm not making this up. Uh-oh. This game is one massive high-effort shitpost. I'm obsessed with it. And speaking of that high effort, this animation is gorgeous. How his hand rattles when you have the machine gun. The cannon doesn't have a reload, so instead he just polishes it. Neither does the melee, so instead you have a knuckle-cracking taunt. There are 3 separate shotgun reload animations. One for if you have no ammo, one if you only have 1 shell inside, and one where he just taps the bullets against the side but doesn't put them in if it's already full. The pixel art is so fluid and beautiful looking. Same goes for the animation of these cutscenes, if that wasn't clear. A lot of them can look like slideshows at times, but with everything else going on, it just feels like it's part of the style. This game's humor is great. I love all the stupid ass characters it has. And on top of that, I really enjoyed a lot of their boss fights as well. Stanley having this cool gimmick of shapeshifting to lower his frame, making him harder to hit. King flying around the arena and summoning all of the enemies you fought up until now. I will say though, the final boss is pretty obnoxious. At least for most of it, that is. King's top scientist person betrays him and uses the Orca Stone to power his big stupid robot. And you have to take out all of these pillars that are creating a shield protecting him. It's not really clear how you're supposed to do this though. You have to go up to this top area and kill the scientists generating the shields. But I didn't even notice this area because I was too occupied dodging not only the robot's attacks, but all of the enemies around the arena. The payoff for this is really damn cool though. Wayne finally gets the Orca Stone from the dweeb and blasts his ass with it. It's really just a Metroid escape sequence from here on out, using your new laser arm to destroy everything in your path. It felt so satisfying to do after all the bullshit this game puts you through. But after that, the campaign is pretty much over. Wayne gets a bunch of loot, Stanley copes about it, and all is well. But shockingly, this isn't where the game ends. I say shockingly because I haven't said it up until now, but Captain Wayne Vacation Desperation is at the sweet low price of $10, which considering how much is in this package is a steal. Not only does it have a campaign to go through, but it has a horde mode as well. Boobies in 2'9" want you to deal with the criminal gang known as the Killer Whales, the same one King hires during the campaign. That's basically the whole setup for this happening. I think it's just okay. I feel like this definitely could use some tweaks post-launch. The first couple of waves are complete drags. Like most of the time, the first wave only has like 6 enemies, and more time than it probably should during the earlier waves is just spent trying to track down where the last guy is. After you get into the meat of it around like wave 5, it starts to go away as they get more aggressive, but it really takes a while to get into. After you do though, it's really fun. I suck balls at it, but it's fun. It adds a great level of replayability to an already complete package without it. Like seriously, this game is only $10. I feel like I'm satisfied just paying 10 for the campaign alone, but fuck, I'll take COD Zombies. And you know what? While I'm talking about things I need them to add, I hope we get the ability to buy the soundtrack on Steam later, because holy.
They said in their Discord they'd be letting you buy the soundtrack later. They said this while I was reading this part out. Okay.
It has got so many banger-ass tracks, it's insane. Resort to Violence, Raise Anchor, Well to Pay, it's all fantastic. I'm not kidding you when I say I was kinda shocked when they announced this game's price, because I was easily expecting 15 to 20, but to see it go up for only half of that was staggering. Fantastic animation and writing, great gameplay and enemy design, really creative and fun characters and gimmicks. A replayable Horde mode that also has 8 maps of its own. Honestly, one of the best values in indie gaming in recent memory. Captain Wayne Vacation Desperation is great. Skip getting Uber Eats this week and just make something at home so you can afford this game. It's so good, I think I'm gonna Wayne all over the place. Anyway, the review's over, go home.